What's going on, family? Welcome back to Is Rock's Movie Reviews. Welcome. And today we're going to be discussing a film called Missing, which is not a direct sequel to, I believe, 2018 Searching, which also was a phenomenal film. But this film stars Storm Reid, Nia Long, and there's actually nothing missing in this story of a movie. We're going to start off with directors Nicholas Johnson and Will Merrick. They return to the big screen with this one. And it's a very, very similar film to 2018 Searching, which is basically one of these films. This is one of these films that come every once in a while, surprisingly gripping, because mostly it's through found footage, especially like through computer screens. And a lot of these films that I've saw previous to Missing and Searching, they always struggle with maintaining, plausible reasons for the first-person camera angles to keep actually rolling, even though I think Missing was a phenomenal film, and this one as well. The film is just ridiculously well edited. Every frame stays on screen. It stays zoomed in just long enough. And what I loved about the film also was the editors came up with this really visually stunning creative transition between scenes that make us kind of adapt to the possibilities of watching a desktop kind of screen formatted movie, which I thought was phenomenal, something that I haven't really seen. This editing certainly helps with not only the story, the plot, the pacing, and it works well. It really never drags. I think that was sick. I don't think this is well polished or maybe as memorable film as a few mystery and thrillers that I've seen in the past, but this definitely asks you the question: are you there? Literally throughout the film. Missing has great acting. The story's on point. The premise, the story, before we get further into this review, has to do with a young girl named June. Yes, the month I was born, and played by Storm Reid, who is turning into a phenomenal actress, man. Kudos to her. And she's on a search for her missing mother after her mom and her boyfriend went on a trip to Colombia. The police, the FBI, a whole bunch of investigators all over the case, and go and search. And it goes heavily viral at one point, and it obviously gets into the wrong hands of someone else. And that's when the story starts to really, take place. It's very intriguing. The little mystery crime story that kept me on my toes until the last, few minutes of the film. I thought this movie was phenomenal. Let's get into it straight up, right? It's basically a first-person mystery thriller, which is kind of odd, right, to say through because of the way it was filmed, using the technology that they do, where almost every scene is of a person sitting at a computer or looking at a phone or looking at some kind of screen, and it alarms you, but don't let it, because it'll kind of take you off if you're not used to watching it. But it's very well put together, like I mentioned before. You take enough notes, and trust me, you'll get used to this. Because I'm not a big fan of found footage films, but this one really kept me intrigued, kept me involved. So even though it's a very computer literate film, you'll still be able to follow. The story of this young girl who loses her beloved father and is raised now by her mother, who's missing without any other family. It gets very emotional. The mother disappears, and there's a lot of things that go terribly south, but it's easy to suspend your belief in a film like this also, because you would have to. I advise you, right? And we'll get back to these directors, man. I think this time around, from the past film Searching, I think this time around they excelled at building up the tension, allowing the audience to breathe, even though it might be momentarily, and then plunging you right back into the drama with a new discovery. Um, the script demanded plenty from Storm Reid, like I mentioned before. And I think she was phenomenal, not only what she was given, but I think she played the protagonist like nobody else could have played it. Um, you know, she's the lead actor in this film, and deservedly so. She holds her own, often able to dig deep for the emotionally rich scenes which she delivers. She had me cringing, which tend to come quite regular in this movie. You know, depicting a very, very strong girl, you know, very voracious and a race against time to find her missing mother. She's very determined. But just as it's very important as an actor on a silver screen to show us, and she's very dynamic. She has a lot of sides. Um, but just as you get to, you know, see certain things going on, the score, the background, the cinematography gets you. Yeah, cinematography with this found footage is beautiful to see. You know, it quickly caught my attention. It helped to me develop the atmosphere in which we were going. Nia Long, what can we say about that lady? You know, um, although there are aspects to the film that can be considered implausible, I find it difficult to hold the film against it. The main character is virtually a Sherlock Holmes level kind of girl. She's very very intelligent. Not to mention her uncanny ability to operate a computer at the speed of light. You could say like she's very very handy on the computer. Yet the movie requires those plot devices in order to move forward, right? You can't let a lot of that get to you. Be like, yo, how she did this so fast and this. It, I think they were just plot devices to get the movie going, which they do. You know, I went into this film kind of with tempered expectations, but I think Johnson and Merrick are starting to get their groove. I think they're starting to get the hang of this fully computer based movie subgenre, and I think this movie was just as exciting as Jason Bourne, a 007 kind of movie over the internet landscape. Right, this was a very very exciting thriller. Um, you know, and it's played out on the digital universe where keystrokes, you know, from an 18-year-old heroine is the basically the life of the movie. And I'm guessing that this computer generated film is gonna be the future. You know, um, you'll be on the edge of your seat. You know, after basically the the mother goes missing, it becomes a true missing persons mystery. You know, it has more twists and turns than a roller coaster, man. And the story originally unfolds slowly and reveals more pertinent information to us as the viewer. You know, coupled with fast-paced editing and rapid response times, hard racing scenes, and the soundtrack was amazing. This movie was almost 2 hours. I say about an hour and 50 minutes, but the movie went by because the pacing was so good. Um, and this movie just adds to intensity. This movie had me bugging. I think I was sweating at one point because I was just so invested in the film. I literally found myself stressed out in the best way while watching this movie. And for a thriller, that's what you really want. You want to be stressed. You want to be, oh my God, what's gonna happen next? You know what I mean? I just that's what I live for when I'm watching a film. You want to escape, right? Basically, that's what this movie is. It's, I think, beyond the level of escapism. It's something that you really need to dive into sometimes. And now, since this is the so-called, um, you know, found footage style of this movie, don't get in the way of the experience. The found footage movies usually get a bad reputation, bad receptions. Um, but Missing is an example of a found footage film at its best. I think this is the best found footage movie I've ever seen. Um, you know, there's some shaky camera issues where you can't see exactly what's happening sometimes, or you know, sometimes there's bizarre editing that might hinder you from seeing a pivotal moment in the story. But besides that, if you put that aside, everything feels fluid, um, purposeful, with a singular goal to allow the audience to clearly follow the story, which is one of the most entertaining stories possible. And the way they speak about it, with the way they edit it, honestly, I loved this movie, and having trouble figuring out what more to say. Then go check this movie out. I gave this movie 8.5 out of 10. That's not being generous at all. I think this movie, for it to come out in basically January, that's a lot to say right there. Usually they dump all the films that don't think they're going to go anywhere in January, but I have to say that you're looking at an edgy, you see thriller in this one. And if you're looking for anything else, you found it here. This is, ooh, yeah, just this movie keeps your attention. And I thought it was groundbreaking. So definitely go check it out. If you agree with me, trust me, you're going to enjoy the rest of the reviews I have in store. And hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Appreciate you. See you in the next one.